It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Know the numbers. And this ties in beautifully to what you were just talking about, Bo. Because here's what I want to talk about is a decision matrix.
Sure. Yeah. One of the things, and for Financial Mutant, it's easy for to grasp this. When it comes to negotiations, at least for the folks that are listening to this show, you guys know the numbers. Whenever you go to buy a car or buy a house or have a transaction, you've probably already done the numbers, right? You've probably already calculated, well, this is the outcome that I want, and this is the thing that I need to happen, and this is how much this thing is worth, and you've done that. But we want you to step a little bit further out than that. It's not just about the cold, hard dollars and cents behind the numbers. It's the numbers that are important in the negotiation process. And there are really 6 numbers we think you ought to know, but we've sort of distilled it down into a Venn diagram that we think will be helpful as you approach this. So the first number that you want to know is what would you consider a win, and then what would make you walk away, right? So whether you're buying a car, buying a house, negotiating a business transaction, what do you want and what makes you walk away? Well, then remember, you got to think about the other party. What do they want and what would make them walk away? And then you have to answer 2 other questions. Are their numbers rooted in reality or not rooted in reality? What I think is sort of beautiful is when it comes to negotiation, in most places, there will be some overlap between what you want and what they want. And the overlap is really what we're going for. In most circumstances, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It can be there in the middle. And when you begin to understand what that middle ground is, you're going to set yourself up to actually get there. If all you're thinking about is the one side of what I want, man, it's going to be really, really hard to figure out where those appropriate parameters are.
Well, I think so much of the process is also absorbing information, but then also setting the stage with the person you're negotiating with.
Yep.
And that's why when you have a decision matrix like this, when you understand what they want, what you want, and trying to figure out, especially putting yourself, like I talked about in step 1, putting yourself in their shoes, it's very quick to kind of frame the situation. Because I think it's just like when you sell a house. We all think our house is priceless.
Absolutely.
And then, it's one of the first things, and it's usually a very valuable resource. Get a real estate appraiser, get a real estate agent to kind of give you their assessment of it, because that'll at least bring you back to some reality. But it's going to also help you prepare for the first time that negotiation starts and somebody comes in and offers you 65% of what the actual fair market value. Instead of you having the gut reaction, you'll stand on your feet. You know how to take a punch. And I think that's an important part of knowing the numbers. If you do your preparation in the beginning, it's going to set you up, whether you're the buyer, whether you're the seller. It lets you roll with whatever is going on because you never were disillusioned with some false narrative that you'd built into your own little mindset or blind spot of how this was all going to play out.
Now, another thing I think is interesting as it relates to the numbers, and Brian, I want to say that I kind of picked this up from you because I've heard you say it so many times over the years that we've been working together, is that not all negotiations and not all products and not all things are equal. So there's really a question when you're negotiating, especially if it's on price, and that's when most people think about this, negotiating on the price of something. You have to answer a question. That question is the thing I'm negotiating a commodity or is there something unique about it?
Yeah, I mean, and this one's easy to break out. It's easy to go, especially with technology. If you're trying to buy a Honda Accord, you want a white Honda Accord, you want the V6 variety, you want leather interior, that's the EXL. It's easy to go on the website, type in zip codes, trick the zip codes, and you can find that there's probably 5 or 6 white Honda Accords with the exact options you want. You've now turned this purchase into a commodity selection, and it's very easy from a negotiation standpoint. If you know the numbers, you know the quantity in your area, you can now start pitting people against each other.
Right.
It's a lot different this year, 2021 and 2020. I've hung out with more attorneys than I have in the rest of my life. I mean, because we got intellectual property stuff going on. We've had some, employee contract type stuff that we're rewriting and working through.
Real estate stuff.
And real estate stuff. So I'm dealing with attorneys all the time. That's not a commodity because this is now you're hiring somebody for their skill set, their knowledge. It's not something where I can just open up and every attorney has the ability to talk about intellectual property.
That's right.
It's not like every attorney can talk about real estate. I mean, you need specialists, and that specialization takes it outside of commodity. Same thing in financial planning.
Yep, I was going to say that.
I'm amazed at how many people, and we get troll comments on YouTube all the time. We go, why would I hire a financial planner and just go buy some index funds? I'm like, if that's all you think we do, we give that away. I mean, that's a commodity.
Yep.
You know, an asset allocation and those type of things. In a lot of ways, that has been commoditized. What you cannot replace is the critical thinking skills, and that's really where the premium lies. But you have to understand commodity, or this is something unique, because you're going to have to really price out the negotiation completely different based upon those two things.
And that's what I was going to say. Whether you are the buyer or the seller, understanding that, is this thing commoditized or is this unique, it will allow you to better hone in on your numbers. You may be the person, when you buy an automobile, you have to squeak every single last cent out of it because you just view it as the thing to get you from A to B. Whereas if you're getting professional services or something like that, you may not be able to negotiate in the same way because you're not buying the same type of thing. So understanding that at the front end before you start whittling down into your numbers is going to set you up for success.
Here's another benefit of knowing the numbers. I know a lot of you financial mutants, you get this, is that there are certain things, and it drives you crazy, that they're price fixed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I deal with this all the time with, if you're trying to buy an Apple product, if you're trying to buy Sonos, sound systems and things like that, if you're trying to buy a video game system, I think all the PlayStations and those type of things,
price fixed too?
They're pretty price fixed. I mean, you're not going to see different prices. I mean, I think like Walmart might offer Apple products like $2 cheaper.
Okay.
They do something weird. So when you know something's price fixed, what I don't like as a financial mutant knowing I'm paying the same price as everybody else.
As all the lazy folks.
So you have to figure out, because I want to be rewarded for the preparation, that you have to look for the workaround situations. And this is only rewarded if you actually know the numbers. So if you know these things are price rewarded, you can then say, well, okay, if I know that they're going to charge $99 all year round for this, is there some other sweetener I can do? And then what I like is, think like Apple products. Around the holidays, they will do, like around Black Friday and so forth, they'll throw in some free gift cards or something. They still charge the same price for the item, but they throw in some gift cards. It's the same thing with like Sonos. I know that at the end of each year, they're going to usually offer some type of either credit or discount on a future one, or you're going to be able to buy it from a provider. Since everybody has the same price, you can go buy it from some place that usually overcharges, but offers credit rewards from like Discover, where you can get prepaid gift cards, with reward points, and you can essentially hack the system. If you can understand that everything you deal with, even if it's price fixed, you might be able to find a workaround that benefits you.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that money, dollar bills are fungible. I know you're going to love that I got to use that vocabulary on this show.
I hate when you use that word.
So, even though you can't get the iPhone or the Apple product for $20 less, if you get a gift card for $20, it's the same sort of thing. We do this with auto transactions all the time. We'll, work through the negotiation. We'll get to the very end of the process. And then, I have young kids. So one thing that really matters to me, no matter what automobile that I buy, is I want the all-weather floor mats, because my kids, surprise, surprise, don't take care of the car quite as well as I would like for them to take care of it. So there are melted crayons and chicken biscuits and all those things. Well, those all-weather floor mats are fantastic, because all I got to do is pull them out, dump them, and spray them off. In every automobile purchase I've had, I always try to negotiate that at the very end. I say, hey, I've got this thing. Okay, I get it. We can't come any lower. How would you feel about throwing in the floor mats? And most of the time, the answer is, okay, yeah, we can do that. That's the equivalent to them of giving me the car for $100, $200 less. If you can understand that as you go into these negotiations, again, knowing the numbers will allow you to figure out where your wiggle room lies.
Yeah, because what I like about knowing the numbers too is that you can look at a situation and go, what do they have an abundance of that I would actually, and they don't give much value to something that I value greatly. And you just made the point of car dealerships. I figure they have all-weather mats just stacked up to the roof back there, so they can just throw them in. It doesn't mean much to them, but to you, it means a lot. Deal. Same thing when you buy a house. You're worried about, what you as a buyer of a house is worried about is, I'm going to buy this thing, the air conditioner's going to break in the first 2 months, or, I don't want to pay all these closing costs. You might be able to say, hey, look, I'm not going to change the price, but But how about throwing in a home warranty or something that's really, somewhat affordable as a percentage of the total cost of this transaction? It's just not much. There's usually ways that you can take something you value that they have plentiful. Same thing with the car's maintenance. Get a few oil changes. Get something thrown in there that they do not put much value because they have it in abundance, but yet it's definitely something that has economic value to you.
Love it.
Number 3. Now this one, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is my weakest spot. There's a reason I'm in broadcasting because I'm horrible at this. You gave me a compliment in the editorial meeting. You said, hey, you're actually trying to improve this. I can sense
I said 2 things. You've gotten better, and I've noticed when you need to, you turn this on.